Assault gangs raid communities in River State. Armed bandits riding on motorcycles descended on a village in Kaduna State on Saturday, killing, kidnapping and injuring residents before setting their properties on fire. Now 10 killed in renewed INTIV JUKUN clash. The spotlight is on Zamfara, not just on Zamfara, but every other state across the Federation. Apparently, there is growing insecurity. And of course, joining me to have this conversation, I have Mr. Francis Chilaka. He's the Programs Director, KUTH Foundation, and he's also a political analyst. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
And we also have Barrister Raymond Nkanebe. He's joining us also. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to start with you, Francis. I got the story of River State. It didn't necessarily come to me as a shock because I have lived there. I have woken up to a headless body before. Oh. This is also from renewed cult clashes. So there's allegedly this myth that every cult that has a person in government wants to have, you know, more of a supremacy battle. You know, we have somebody in the government, so we need to run the town. So sudden bus stops or markets, you know, they go there and say, pay us, but now we run this place. You don't pay your money for today, you know, stuff like that. And we also go to Plateau State where there's for the INTIV guys who have had issues over and over again. And Kaduna State, people on bikes, raising, you know, so it just looks like we have pockets of violence everywhere in the country, whether we believe it or not. Akwa Ibom State, the cultists recently sent a message to the governor saying, you haven't come to, you know, settle us, the boys. You have to come and pay homage or else we will start. And they were brandishing guns. Same thing for Cross River, cultists and kidnappers. A journalist was taken from his doorstep in the morning when he was going to read the news, kidnapped and killed. So where do we start to deal with these issues? Have we, like I said earlier on, been playing the ostrich the whole time and now we have a problem on our hands?
I think the first thing first is to outlaw all these cult groups. It's very, very important. You cannot have a cult group working side by side a government, and you know it doesn't make sense for any government or any governor to cover them or to hide them. But I think, you know, this cult thing it's been around. It's been in schools and all of that. But I think the government has not done what they should do. You know, the first thing first is outlaw it. When you outlaw something, it becomes a crime if you're caught. And then when people get arrested for cultism, you know, we only hear the news on TV and it ends there. No prosecution, nothing happens after that. So, you know, I think the government has lost it, you know, and then the state governors too have completely lost it. Something is wrong with our security architecture. So we need to go back to the drawing board. It's either the federal government is not doing what they're supposed to do, or the state government, they don't even care about the people anymore. So something is wrong. And to start with cultism, the first thing is to outlaw it. And anybody who is caught, you know, getting involved in cultism, there should be a very strict punishment for that. I think that's where we should start from. As
a lawyer, Francis, we hear that bail is free, even though it's not necessarily free. We also hear the policemen. I have had an opportunity to interview a couple of police officers on issues that are pending, especially cult-related activities. Again, back to River State. And they tell you that they carry out investigations, and sometimes they get tip-offs that these people are having initiations, and so they grab them. But a certain big person, in quotes, big man, calls and says, those are my boys, release them. So they cannot necessarily do their jobs. Where does the law come in here?
That takes me to the first, the legal aspect of what is playing out across the country. Section 14, subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution as amended said that security shall be the paramount project of every government, the security of lives and properties of the citizens. In fact, that underscores the social contract that government have with the citizens. At any point that pact is breached, any government loses its legitimacy. You understand? So it is just by the grace of God that we are not already on the way to Kigali, as in full-blown anarchy.
I mean, I heard somebody saying it today, I think it was a lawyer saying it on radio, that what we have stomached in this country, if it were to be other African countries, will be at war. Of course,
because all the factors that played out in other places where we had such, we've seen it playing out here. So that's why I say it's only to the grace of God that we are still able to manage this this issue. And just like you started saying, when the leaders legitimize banditry or thuggery or courtism by using these young men every electoral cycle to rig their way into power, it becomes, in that process, they arm these guys, they give them money, they give them cars. By the time they come into power, it's always difficult disengaging them. You get? By the time the monies are no longer coming, this guy will have to feed. And in that process, they devise other means to survive. So you see how government tends to find itself in a difficult corner, because it is almost, they are also part of the problem, you understand? Because they were involved in the process of getting these guys on the street. But all of a sudden, it is now so difficult for them to, you understand? That's why you said someone makes a call somewhere, leave them, they are my guys, you understand? So at the turn of other electoral cycle, these guys go to work anymore. So we have a problem whereby our leaders are also the problem behind all of this.
So what do we do? Because if the police says, my hands are tied, our hands are tied, we really want to do our job because these boys are a menace. We want to do something, but we cannot do it. Where do we come here? You're an activist. You are one of those people who advocates for one thing or the other. Where do we start? How do we get the government to, or maybe we the people, get them to be accountable and responsible to us? Because if we're losing our lives, if we're living in fear, I tell you what, you cannot be found somewhere in Eleme, if you know River State very well, at a certain time.
Of course.
It's at your own risk.
Of course.
You know, I mean, in Lagos, you can still go home at 1 a.m., hopefully, and be happy.
In some places.
In some places. You know, so if Nigeria has become a place where you tiptoe around about where you live, then we have a problem.
You see, this is something that could be easily solved. Like I keep saying, our security architecture, something is wrong. The job of the Nigerian police is to protect the citizens. But what you have the Nigerian police doing more now is the little number they have, they distribute them amongst so-called VIPs. You go to a bank, you're seeing about 4 or 5 policemen sitting down doing nothing. You're driving on the road, you see somebody coming with a siren, he's pushing you off the road. The next thing you see is a policeman wielding a gun. So I don't know what has happened. You know, I think that, first of all, the present IG should go back and study the one-time IG, Adewusi. He was one of the best. Study his own style of policing. That is one. 2, we need to understand that this whole thing about banditry, cultism, people don't do something that they're not going to make money from. So
it's lucrative, and that's why they get a lot of attention.
So there's something they're benefiting from it. I mean, I was just reading, they said the Lagos State fire boss was kidnapped, you know, with some other people. So we need to have a situation where our police are responsive. Like you said, we need to also have an electoral system that does not involve thuggery. Because it's annoying, it's upsetting. I don't think any Nigerian is happy with what's happening.
But I don't think that these, and I'm sorry, I'm just playing the devil's advocate. I don't see these politicians putting a gun to your head and saying, you must take my money, you must rig the elections, you must take my ballot boxes. No, So we do it out of our own free will. Yes, you might say that we're manipulated because we're kept hungry so that they could give us this handout. Sure. But if we also are smart enough, or we're tired, maybe we're not tired enough, so we're still taking...
Let me put it this way. We need to educate people.
Yes.
The problem we're having in Nigeria today is literacy. People are not educated. A lot of Nigerians are not even aware of their own rights. to start with. We need to do serious voters' education. We should stop voting people because you belong to a particular party. We should begin to think of voting people because of integrity, character, who they are, what they have done in the society. When we do that, you see a lot of these things will reduce. But thirdly, the government needs to create employment.
The government cannot employ everybody, can they?
No. The government needs
are you saying
the government
an
needs to set
enabling environment?
No, the government needs to create an enabling environment for employment to be created. And we need to disemphasize our dependence of certificate. That is why things are not moving in this country. Somebody you want to get employed, they'll tell you must have a BSc. Very soon, BSc will become useless in Nigeria. We're probably
talking about masters and PhDs.
Yeah. But you see, most people out there, if they find out that there's dignity in labor, people will do a lot of things. Nigerians are very innovative. Nigerians are very patient. But I'll tell you that the patience of Nigerians with this government, with the state government, is running out.
But is it necessarily, again, and this question is for you, Mr. Nkanebe, is this necessarily about this government? Is it necessarily about the Buhari administration or the Johnson or the Yaradua or the Basanjo administration? Because you know what they say, the leadership of a people mirror the people themselves.
Of course.
So it's a picture of who we are.
Yes. So
do you not think that we need to self-purge before we throw up the kind of leaders that we already have?
Well, I think it was a man I admire so much, the late Prof. Chino Achebe, who said in his book, The Trouble with Nigeria, that every nation begets the leadership they deserve. So that validates your the point you're trying to make there. But let me just say this. I try to ask myself, what is this nation's national security strategy? You get? Going to the economic point of, from the economic context of things, what is this nation's national economic philosophy? You get? Nations are built on sound and robust philosophies. But here
we have robust budgets.
Here we have robust, padded budget. That's what we have. Let me just try to get myself again. I'm talking about we have ad hoc systems all over the place. A fire breaks out somewhere, a building falls, the whole country, building. After 4 days, we all go to bed. Nobody cares. You get? Banditry springs up in Zamfara, the whole world, we are going to ban mining, we are going to stop this. After 4 days, so there is no strategy, you understand? In other countries spend money on trying to even predict at every year what kind of national security issues can we face. You understand? We have national security risk managers, people who try to look at the country and say, okay, are we going to experience, let's say, ecological disasters from this part of the country? Are we going to experience security breaches? You understand? And if we can do this, how do we meet some of when
more preemptive and proactive?
Yeah, they are all proactive. You understand? And that all of this goes into it. It forms the bedrock of the security strategy that they have. All of these form part of that that policy that runs from government to government. It is part of the system. So the problem is not Buhari's, Jonathan, is a Nigerian problem. It is a fact. A key fact or factor of our of our leadership.
Well, maybe what we could say is that the problem is the 1999 Constitution.
As amended.
What is amended there? We need.
There are few things that have been amended.
Let me just say the way it is. We need to restructure this country. Nigeria is long overdue for restructuring. We need to sit down and decide how we want to move forward as Nigeria. The things that are happening in Kaduna, Rivers, Cross River, Zamfara shouldn't happen. It shouldn't really happen in the first place. Like I was telling him, a few minutes back, I said to him, we need to move away from looking at the presidency, blaming the presidency. We need to begin to hold our governors, honorable members, senators accountable. When you hold them accountable, and they are accountable, the presidency will also become accountable. So,
but the people
we
will
have
say,
a structural problem.
But the people will say, these people you want us to hold accountable are unreachable. For example, these senators, these House of Assembly members, these local government chairmen, you only see them when they're asking for your votes. Some constituency offices are shut down. Sometimes you go there and drop stuff, but you know, you never see, sometimes it goes to the bin. How accessible are these leaders that we have? I mean, in the UK, every MP goes back to his constituents. Yeah. And in fact, when they're fighting on the floor, they're telling you, I'm fighting because I want to be able to say this and that to my constituents. Yes. There's a sense of responsibility. But in this part, it's a total departure from what it should be.
Do you know why?
Why?
I'll tell you why. We have a system where those that are elected become lords overnight. They live off the sufferings of the masses. A country where you have a senator earning close to 36 million a month, and a civil servant is begging to earn 30,000 naira a month. In other words, you to take a civil servant 1,200 months to earn the salary, 1 month salary of a senator. We need to sit, like I said, restructuring this country, we need to sit down and say, as a senator, this is what you're supposed to earn. As a president, this is what you're supposed to earn. As a governor, this is what you're supposed to earn. The problem is that people are earning so much. People are earning so much. So the office becomes too lucrative for them to remember that they were voted in. And also, because of the fact that before you get into office in Nigeria, you need to spend. You need to spend so much money. So when they come into power, the first thing they want to do is to recoup their money. I mean, if you look at what's happening in Zamfara, you would laugh. I'll tell you something that will shock you. In 1998, 1999 or 2001, the federal government commissioned a company called Global Minerals to carry out an audit of the mineral sector. And that contract was about 250 million. And they did a very wonderful job. They came up saying that in Nigeria we have 33 viable minerals cut across the country. Zamfara has gold. Kebbi has gold. Zamfara has diamond. You come to the south, Ondo has bitumen. You go to the east, we have coal. Why has government not sat down to look at the way Australia developed their mining sector? South Africa developed their mining sector. In every part of the world, especially in Africa, where mining has taken place, it's not for the benefit of the people. It doesn't bring blessing, it brings curse. Check Ghana.
Oh, South Africa, they're always having miners who are trapped on the ground.
Not only trapped, people get killed. People get displaced, houses get bombed.
Liberia, Sierra Leone.
What is happening in Zamfara is simple. The bandits, people you call bandits are not bandits. Because those who are mining, they have mercenaries who fight for them. So what they're trying to do is that scare these people away, they take over the land.
I see. All right, because we have just 1 minute. Gentlemen, in one sentence each, what do we do in the interim? Where do we start? Because we have to do something. If not, we're going to be back here in another 2 years talking about the same thing, and I really don't want to do that.
Well, for me, I think this takes us back to the recurrent question of communal policing. You understand? Policing everywhere in the world is local. We don't have a local police system in the country. The locals know themselves better. So when you give them the instruments and to protect themselves, I believe we can begin to get things better on that.
For me, I would say that I'll put it on the table of Mr. President. I want the president to sit down, think well, restructure this country. Once the president is going to do that, he has a political will. President didn't come back second term by cabal. No, there was no cabal. The people voted him in the second term. And I think that he should do the right thing now. God has given him a second opportunity to make Nigeria great. He should restructure this country.
All right, restructuring. Thank you very much, Francis Chilaka, and of course Raymond Kanebe, for speaking with us on Plus Politics.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break, and when we come back, I'll be giving you my take. Stay with us. Thank you so much. As part of efforts to contain the incessant banditry in Zamfara state and other affected areas, the federal government has suspended mining activities in the area. To this end, operators who engage in mining activities in the affected locations will have their licenses revoked. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, announced these measures on Sunday at an emergency press conference called in the office of the Chief of Staff at State House in Abuja.
The operation is aimed at reclaiming every public space under the control of the bandits, arrest and bring to book all perpetrators of the violence in the area and their collaborators, and to achieve a total destruction of all criminal camps and hideouts, and also to mop up all illicit weapons, fueling the violence, and attain a full restoration of law and order in the affected communities. All the foreigners that are within the mining site in this environment are hereby asked to leave the mining site. And a joint effort or task force by the security agencies will be put in place to take over the mining sites. Meanwhile, in the face of intelligence report that has clearly established a strong and glaring nexus between the activities of the armed bandits and illicit miners, with both mutually reinforcing each other, the federal government of Nigeria has decided as follows. Mining activities in Zamfara and its environment are hereby suspended with immediate effect.
It's time for my take. The question, which way Nigeria? The order of the day has become insurgents, bloodshed, banditry, cultism. We no longer see father, mother, daughter, brother, sister. All we see is pain. All we see is anger. Where do we go from here? How do we stop this? Because in no time, we may all end up dead and gone. Who's going to take over when we're all gone? What stories, what values, what lessons are we teaching our children? That it's okay to take away life and add no value to it? What are our governments doing? We need to make that change today. So, arise, O compatriots. Let's change. Let's make that change today. And that's it on Plus Politics. I'm Mariana Kun. I'll see you tomorrow.